you for the raid. You made it, and thank you for the raid. I appreciate that. It's my first time streaming since they changed the raid not hashtag. What do you call it? Since they made that change. But thank you. Thank you everyone who's here. Hello. Oh, Chris, thank you. How is everyone doing today? I'm sorry, Ben, I was just on your stream for a little bit and had to come out here. Thank you. You're so kind, Chris. Thank you. Wait, why are you laughing, Will? Oh, thank you. I love all the little stickers. I'm all for it. It's part of the reason why I probably come and stream. I love seeing all the little stickers. But I'm going to be getting started right away. I'll tell you guys what I'm going to be making today. So I have already made tacos on, I think it was my second stream on here. It was delicious mushroom tacos that mimicked the consistency of meat. So anyone who's trying to cut back on eating meat or on just wanting to try something different but that has a good consistency of meat, those tacos were really, really good. But what I'm going to be doing today is a different kind of taco. Meat is good. Yeah, I mean, if you're into meat, all for it. Whatever your heart desires. But a little bit on the story behind this recipe. So basically, in Mexico, a lot of people think, when they think of tacos, like they sort of think of like the more well-known tacos here in America, which is, or all over the world, I should say, not just in America, but typically it's a lot of like meat-heavy tacos. And when people think of like vegan tacos or vegetarian tacos, it's sort of like an afterthought. But the reality of it is that in Mexico, there's countless different kinds of tacos. And one of the tacos that are actually not very well known here, but very common in Mexico is tacos de guisado, which roughly translates to tacos that are made out of like a one dish meal. And guisados are actually very, thank you for inviting your fans, Ben. Guisados are actually very well known. Oh, I didn't realize I have this light on. 1 second. They're actually really well known and common in Mexican households. So it's like the kind of stuff that your grandma makes. It's kind of the stuff that your mom makes. And it's sort of like the meals that you make throughout the week, like a one pot sort of dish, and they're really, really easy to make, and it doesn't take that much time. And surprisingly, they're often very much plant-based. Not all the time, and obviously sort of throughout time it has changed, but they tend to be plant-based because it was sort of like a cheaper version of a meal. You know, in Mexico, meat was very expensive and still sort of is across the country, I would say. And especially when like you didn't have electricity, or some people still don't have electricity, they're not having meat just sit around in their home, so they're eating a lot of vegetables, like root vegetables and such like that. You like tacos, yay, fire. So that's one of the things that people don't really know about Mexican cuisine, is that tacos can really be made out of almost anything, and they actually very often can be plant-based just naturally because it was cheaper than meat. I'm wondering if you guys are getting an echo. Sorry about that. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the free 20. I appreciate that. And the emojis, the tacos. So that's sort of like my background story to this recipe. I grew up eating a lot of guisados. It's sort of like the thing, like I said, your mom makes on the weekend, and then you put it on a tortilla, which makes it a taco. And in Mexico City and a lot of places across Mexico, you actually find restaurants that are called tacos de guisado, which is basically a place. I think they're some of the coolest like places you can go to in Mexico, because you go to this location and daily they will make about 20 different guisados, 20 different one dish sort of meals, and then you get to put it on a taco, however you decide. And typically they charge you like a one price for regardless of what type of dish or filling you're choosing. And you're actually just paying for the tacos. So if you want to eat 5 tacos, you can eat 5 different types of tacos or 5 of the same one. And then you can add whatever you want. Very common, they'll serve it to you with like beans and rice and then the filling. Or you can simply just eat it with the filling and salsas and toppings, whatever you decide, even guacamole, and it's free, no extra charge. So I think they're some of the coolest restaurants that you can go to when you travel to Mexico. You sort of do have to go away from like the touristy sides. They're not very often in touristy areas, but I think they're awesome. And it's one of the ways that you can really get to taste like traditional homemade Mexican food that you normally don't find in the US. I have yet to find a restaurant in the US that has this concept. I think it's awesome. Oh, thank you for a little avocado. So the guisado that I'm going to be making today is actually made out of sweet potato. And these in America, they're called Japanese sweet potatoes. I'll show you on this screen over here. Here we go. They're Japanese sweet potatoes, so they're like the really purple ones. But, you know, I grew up eating them in my part of Mexico. I don't really know if they're native to my part of Mexico or why they're called Japanese sweet potatoes. But we just call them camotes. That's what they're called in Spanish. So that's going to be the filling that we're going to be going for here. Tengo hambre. Quiero mi taco. Well, if you stick around for the stream, you will see the taco. So I'm going to be making it out of this Japanese sweet potato and corn. So they're very, very sort of typical ingredients that you find in Mexico. Like I grew up in a farm, so we definitely had a lot of camotes and corn. And yeah, like you make all sorts of different type of dishes with this. And the other like main ingredient is going to be an onion. And that's it. I know it sounds like, oh, like that's going to taste like nothing. But the thing is, Japanese sweet potato is a little bit different. Thank you for the 50, Ben. Japanese sweet potato is a little bit different than just like your typical sweet potato here in America, like the ones that you find at most grocery stores. It has a very high sugar content. So I feel like the mixture between this corn, and this corn's from the local farm here, it's very, very white. It's not as sweet, so you're gonna get like the flavor of corn with this sweet potato, and then I'm gonna be making a guacamole to top it off. And I do have an habanero salsa that I made about a week and a half ago, and I still have a little bit of it. It's super spicy, but I think it goes really well with it. You can top it off with any salsa, or you can just simply add a fresh chili to your guacamole, however you decide to do it, but it's gonna be really good. So I hope you stick around. Let me see if I missed any comments on here. Oh, okay, good. So let me know if you have questions as I'm making this, but what I did is I already prepped the corn. My corn was already starting to get a little bit dry, so I took it all out, so it's here, it's ready to go. There's gonna be a couple spices that I will be adding onto the dish, and you'll see that in a second. I'm also gonna be using olive oil just because I think it works really well with the dish. And I like to work with some of the more natural, like less processed oils, so that's just what I'm using. And I apologize for my cat on every stream. He always cries when I'm cooking. I will try to feed him at some point. Hi, Panda. Thank you. Oh, thank you for all those 10. Thank you, thank you. Oh my goodness, thank you. Meow. Thank you. Hi, Millie. Welcome. How are you today? How is everyone, by the way? Ben, I didn't even really get to ask you how you were doing. I came in like the middle of a conversation you were having, so I didn't want to like interrupt, but how are you? How is everyone? You're good, Chris. Good. I'm glad to hear you well. Did anyone do anything fun today? I mostly just homeschooled all day. And I did go to my farmer's market. I got a couple of really good things. Ooh, and I'm really excited, guys. I went to, Millie, you're doing good. I'm doing well, thank you. I went to our TJ Maxx here. I don't know if you guys have, I think you guys call them something different across the pond. Ben, you're getting hungry. You're fine, but you're getting hungry. TK Maxx. Yes, thank you, Millie. I was like, I know it's like something very similar. Ugh. Sweet potatoes hard, guys. But I went to my TJ Maxx and I found this juicer, like a Breville juicer, which I think it has a different name outside of the US as well. But they're a really good brand. This is the same brand that we have our coffee machine, and it was only like $100, and I purchased it. So I've been like making juices. Finally, I was using my blender and then one of the cheesecloths to like take out all of the pulp, and obviously it doesn't taste the same, and it's been so nice and I've been so excited. Millie, what did you have for dinner today? Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm cutting it into as much as possible. Obviously it's a little hard to keep it super perfect, but I'm sort of cutting it into, okay, that's not a good representation because that side's a little bit bigger, it was on the side, but about like half an inch thick. It's probably a little bit less than half an inch. And then it makes it easier to cut it because I want to cube it. That's what we're doing. Hi, Christina on YouTube. How are you? How are you and the baby? And you love sweet potatoes. Aww. I'm glad that you do. Tacos of sweet potatoes are so good. And also, like with this dish, I'm showing you like the most basic form of it, but you can add different ingredients to it. Sometimes, oh, Waking Up Dreams, thank you for all the 10s. All forms, welcome to my channel. Often what I like to do is add other root vegetables. So if I have a zucchini, I can add that. If you've ever had chayotes or chayotes in Spanish, those are really, really good with this too. I'm just gonna be using the sweet potato and the corn. If you have black beans, they taste really, really good in this dish as well. So I'm sort of giving you like the most basic form of it, but you can add whatever you decide to add to yours. Okay, so I'll explain to you. To cube it, that's probably the easiest way. So you kind of just like cut it vertically, and then you get, you know, your little, these are not rectangles. Okay, this is more of a rectangle stick. Little sticks, let's call it that. And then you get your little cubes. And I do think it's important that you cube it up a little smaller. You're going to be able to infuse more of the flavor of the spices, and it ends up cooking evenly with the corn. Because obviously with the corn it's pretty small, so you do want to keep the consistency of that as much as possible. That's one of the main reasons why you want to cut things evenly when you cook. It's just so that things cook evenly and you don't end up with something that's overcooked and then the other one's burned or whatever. So you try to keep it as consistent as possible. Obviously with like potatoes and stuff, there is a way for you to like make it perfectly all the same size, but I feel like it's so wasteful. I'm not cooking this for a fancy dinner, so I will be using all of my sweet potato. What else is still here? Okay. Maybe I should have prepped this one before I came on the camera. This is probably the part that takes the longest. Here we go. Ben, what did you have for lunch today? And what will everyone be having for dinner? Or if you already had dinner, I would love to know. When I ask you guys that question, like, I always get inspiration for doing something different. So that's typically why I'm asking you. Christina said, good, thank you. Just waiting to pop 37 weeks. Oh, Christina, you're almost at the finish line. Are you excited? I remember when I was at the 37-week mark, and I felt like it was so bittersweet. And if you guys don't know who I'm talking to Christina on YouTube. She's watching on YouTube, and I'm looking at her comments. Yeah, when I was 37 weeks, it was bittersweet. I remember I was really looking forward to my daughter being born, but I was also like sad that I would not have my belly. I know I already told you, enjoy the belly because you'll miss it, and I know that sounds so weird, but like, you will. I feel like sometimes I still look at pregnant ladies and I'm like, oh. Hi, Purple Skies. I haven't seen you. How are you? I miss your music. You're probably working, so I don't expect you to like type me a story. But thank you for being here. I'm making tacos de camote, or Japanese sweet potato tacos. Fire, you had a baby? When? I don't know too much about you. I know I've seen you on Ben's stream before, but I don't know too much about you, so I apologize if I don't know that. But you miss your belly too. Aww. Tell me about it. How long ago did you have a belly? You really do end up missing it. And for all the men, I apologize for this conversation, but you probably can relate. But it's an interesting, like, I don't know, part of like pregnancy and then having babies. Okay, we're almost done here. There we go. Okay. Does everyone have access to Japanese sweet potatoes where you live? Like, I'm assuming that you do because they're pretty easy to find here. And obviously I even had them in Mexico in the middle of nowhere, so I assume so. But if not, if for some reason you don't, thinking like a good substitute for this, you could definitely use regular sweet potatoes. It will be a little bit different, but it's doable. However, if you can find Japanese sweet potatoes, highly, highly recommend. I would say if you're using regular sweet potatoes, I would definitely add some zucchini to the mix, just to sort of like balance out the flavors. Oh. Wait, Ben, does that mean Fire never had a belly? Am I being pranked? Christina said, I'm miserable, so I can't wait. I'm having beet lentil burgers for dinner. Oh, that sounds so good. I love beet lentil like patties. I haven't had a burger in a really long time, but that sounds delicious. Purple Sky says, I low-key miss the baby, in my opinion, but I don't miss the rib eggs and sciatica. I will say I had a really good pregnancy. I don't think I really had much pain of any kind, so I can relate, but I'm sure I would not miss that if I did have it. Ben Fire is a blood tooth. Well, I believed it. A beer belly. Alright, I'm gonna go throw this out and then show you guys how I'm gonna throw this on the stove. Okay. Thank you for inviting your fans, Panda. How are you today? Are you working? Alright, so I'm going to be switching cameras so that you guys can can actually see what I'm cooking, and hopefully I won't get too close to, what is it called? Don't get too close to the stove so it doesn't get too hot, because it usually does that, but give me 1 second. Let me just set up this camera. Beautiful. Okay, I think that's as close as I can get without the camera getting super hot. So let's move on to the stove. So I'm gonna take the sweet potato and the corn, add that onto the pan, and while that's going, I'm gonna come back and cut the onion. So let's do that. Panda said, nope, I'm just half asleep and a long day at work. Oh, well, I'm sorry, Panda. If you're tired, you can go. You don't have to stay for my stream. All right, let's go over here. Okay, so I'm gonna turn on my heat. That's the first thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be using some olive oil. Oh, can you see it? Just this one. I found this really big bottle at Whole Foods the other day, and it was so inexpensive, so I think it's pretty good. It's a Mediterranean blend, cold press. It's actually pretty good. And I apologize for the noises. I have my window open because it's not that hot today. So I what's it called? I have it open, so if you hear a honking and police and firefighters, I'm sorry. All right, let's move over here. There we go. Okay. So I'm gonna add the sweet potato first. And again, like this sweet potato is just, it's very, very different. Okay, I wouldn't say very, very, but it's definitely different than regular sweet potato. Even just, you know, by the color, you can tell. I'm adding the corn right away. Like I said, this corn was from the farm, so I'm not exactly sure what variety it is. I had it in my fridge, and it did dry up a little bit, but I tasted it, and it still tasted good, so I'm going to be using it. I'm just mixing it around at this moment so that I can get the olive oil. And I would say it's probably about, this is two pieces of corn and 1 large Japanese sweet potato. I did about 3 tablespoons of the olive oil, just enough to cover it. And it is important with most of your root vegetables to add whatever flavors you want to it at this moment. So I'm going to be adding the salt. I'm adding some oregano. And I'm not exactly sure what the measurements would be. Maybe like 1/8 of a teaspoon. I would say it's just enough to like sort of cover the top. I'm adding some cumin. Let's see if you can see that. It's already ground up. So again, probably like 1/8. And it's pretty new, so I feel like it's sort of sticking to the top, but yeah, about 1/8 of a teaspoon as well. Not too much. And this is a key ingredient in this recipe. This smoked paprika. I would say that that's probably like 1/2 teaspoon. And the reason the smoked paprika works so well in this dish is because it's going to add a little bit of dimension, that smokiness that's in it. Okay, and that's just some black pepper. So let me mix this around. already starting to smell really sweet. Drop it. The color just livened up a little bit because of that paprika. And I can already smell the smokiness of it. I turned down my heat a little bit. It's like a medium low. I'm gonna add a little bit more pepper. And as always, I do recommend that you use some fresh ground pepper. Let's mix this up one more time. And I'm gonna leave this to cook here. It's on low. Again, low medium. It's not too low. I'm gonna leave it here just for a second while I go chop up some onion. And I'm gonna leave it there. Let me see some sound. Oh, Panda, you missed it. So I'm making some Japanese sweet potato and corn tacos with guacamole. So I'll be making the guacamole as well. I know, Fire, my cat is so hungry. That's the content of the stream. And yes, I love the sizzling sounds, but my cat always comes on here and makes a grand entrance of crying. So let me feed him. Let me actually feed him. I feel like we were talking about this on Ben's stream. About how cats just eat and then they ask for more food and then they pretend like you never fed them and they'll ask somebody else for more food. Life of a cat. I'm not live anymore? Really, Panda? I'm not live on YouTube? I thought I was. I was reading comments right now. Let me check my comments again. Let me bring back this camera in the meantime. Let me double check. Maybe something happened. Looks like we're still good. Purple Sky says, looks delicious already. I gotta go, but have a great day. Oh, thank you. I hope you do have a great day. Oh, okay. Thank you, Panda, though. At least I checked. Ooh, my camera is not focusing. Come on, camera. It's really not focusing. There we go. Perfect. Oh, thank you. Thank you for letting me know, Purple Skies. Hi, just another Ben. Welcome to my stream. I'm making tacos tonight. Okay, so let's chop up this onion. I'm only gonna use like this half, the bigger side. Thank you for becoming a fan. I come on here on Tuesdays, pretty much every Tuesday at 4 p.m. and stream some recipe. Pretty much healthy and a lot of the times, most of the time, plant-based, I would say. Okay, let me throw this out. The cat noise is down a little bit. He is busy eating. Let me clean this up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna make it a rough chop. I'm not, trying to be fancy on anything. It's just gonna go straight into the pan. So let's just dice this up roughly. And any onion would do in this, I would say. Like even a purple onion you can use. Whatever you have will work. This is what my farmer's market had today. They didn't have the white onions, which normally I would say for most Mexican cooking, white onions work really, really well, but this is just what they had, so I am going to use them. Woo! And it's making me cry. Thank you for the 10. Elio Governor? Oh, hello, Governor. I was like, what? It's really making me cry, guys. You know how like they give you all these tips for supposedly like if you chew gum you won't cry, all that stuff? None of it works, guys. I've tried it all. I think the only thing that works is not chopping an onion. If you found something that works, let me know, because I think I cry in every stream with you guys. Okay, so the onion is done. Yes, onion cries. Like for real onion cries. It's really spicy today. It's very fresh from the farm, so I'm thinking that's why. He said buy a teaspoon while chopping with running water. Panda. Somehow I think you're just tricking me into doing something silly on this stream. Because you know I'll probably try it out. Okay, let's switch over. Benjamin, yes, I am crying for the onion. And welcome. Okay, I am going to switch cameras again to take you back to the stove. So let me set that up so you can see it. Okay. Tom, welcome to my stream. Try it and tell me about it. I don't know if I'm going to be doing the panda. I'll try it off camera. Okay, so here we go. Let me switch the full camera over here. So I'm going to stir it around just one time. And the reason I have this on low heat is because it is a sweet potato. And again, Japanese sweet potatoes do have a pretty high content of sugars, so you definitely don't want them to burn because they will burn pretty easily. If you have it on really high heat, it can happen like just so quick. So I'm mixing in the onion. And I'm going to leave this there, just cooking for a little bit. And we'll come back and check it. In the meantime, I think I'm gonna actually get started on my guacamole and clean off the rest of my tears because I think it really, really got me. Okay, so let me switch my camera so you can see it here. And so a little bit on the guacamole. So most guacamoles, when you look at like the really traditional ones, they actually were very, very simple. I think in America, a lot of the recipes that I sometimes see for guacamole, they've sort of added a lot of extra things. But if you really look at the history of it, and I've talked to you guys about this, let me show it to you. It's actually one of my favorite books for referencing anything when it comes to Mexican cuisine. If you're interested in it, I highly, highly recommend this book. It's called Diccionario Enciclopédico de la Gastronomía Mexicana. So, translation, it's basically like the best encyclopedia, and I think it might actually be the only encyclopedia out there when it comes to Mexican cuisine. And it's thick. It's a thick boy. And it has all of like the information you could ever want on pretty much any sort of recipe. can't get your eyes, so don't cry. Wait, Panda, what? Panda said, put a spoon in your mouth while you cut your onion, you won't cry. It works because the chemicals bind to the metal of the spoon before they get to your eyes. Oh, okay. So Panda on YouNow is telling me if you bite a spoon while you're chopping the onion, the chemicals will attach to the metal and not get to your eyes. I don't know, Panda. I'll try it out. I'll tell you if it works. But yeah, this is one of the best books for pretty much any recipe. And it really has like the history of it. Ricardo Muñoz Zurita, he's one of my favorite chefs. He is also an instructor at one of like the top universities for gastronomy in Mexico. He has restaurants in Mexico City and I think a couple of other states in Mexico. His restaurant is called Azul, like the color blue in Spanish. And he's awesome. He really like has taken the time to research recipes and sort of find the origin of them and all the different versions. So like in this book, you'll find all of the different versions for tacos, all the different versions for tamales, pretty much anything. So according to one of the best historical encyclopedias for Mexican cuisine, guacamole is something that was very simple. It was technically just like onion and cilantro and a chili. And obviously the avocado with some lime juice and salt. Obviously over time, families have sort of added their own take on it. Ben actually sent me a really funny video yesterday of a lady and she was making guacamole and she was adding like fresh garlic and some other spices and stuff. And although, I mean, do whatever makes you happy when it comes to your guacamole, but I did want to like sort of give you guys an idea of what was the traditional version of it, and it was just those fresh ingredients. So the avocado, the onion, the cilantro, a fresh chili, and lime juice and salt. But you know, the beauty of Mexican cuisine is that families do whatever they want with the recipes. And so over time, it has sort of evolved into, you normally will see some type of tomato in it. And I personally, like when I grew up in Mexico, I usually would eat, my guacamole didn't have any tomato or garlic, definitely no cumin, like none of those things. But nowadays, especially for a recipe like I'm doing today with a taco, I am going to be adding some tomato just because it gives it more, it's going to make it a little bit more chunky and it's going to bring in more nutrients to the dish. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Hello, Kimberly. Hello, Lefty. Welcome. So let me get started on the guacamole. I'll show you one more time. We have our tacos over here, or taco filling if you're just joined us. This is some sweet potato, corn, and onions with a couple of spices. This is going to be the filling. And I will be making the guacamole in a second for the tacos. But let me get back over here. What do you guys like to put in your guacamole? I've also had some really interesting guacamoles throughout time. I've had pomegranate in it, which is something that's like sort of traditional that has evolved. Definitely that's a good one. I've had mango in one, that's also really good. And of course, many different spices. Okay, so I'm gonna be using what I had in my fridge. I'm not chopping up anything new. I opened up this avocado, it was beautiful this morning. I used up a little bit for breakfast, so I'm just gonna be finishing the rest of that. And I have a little bit from breakfast as well. This beautiful heirloom tomato. Oh, it's so gorgeous, look at that. So I'm gonna be using that as well. And I already had a little bit of onion chopped up from earlier, a white onion. So I'm gonna be using that too. And my cat is still hungry, so I apologize. Let me feed him one more time. There you go. If I wasn't streaming, I would probably just take him to another room, but he's here. Okay, let me wash my hands before I get started on this. Ben says I like my guacamole simple, but other times I throw everything I can find. Yeah, it just kind of depends on the mood. Like I said, I've had many different kinds. None of them are better than the other. But I did want to, mention like what the traditional one is. So what's like the traditional version for you, Ben? Because again, it's so different from family to family. Like, what would you say was like the one that you grew up eating? Oh, Ben, it's you. It was you on YouTube. I just saw the comment. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the avocado first. Let's do that. I get distracted sometimes with the comments, guys, but that's what makes it so much more fun than just like regular cooking. I don't have a script. I'm just going with the conversation with you guys. And I get to share a little bit about the kinds of foods I eat. And like I said, this dish is really, really traditional. I definitely grew up eating like root vegetable guisados when I was little. This is sort of like my version, throwing out the pit. Ben said his traditional with everything I said, but with tomato. Yeah, so I think the tomato, I don't know exactly like when it sort of got added into the mix of guacamole, but it's pretty much found everywhere in the US. Like almost everywhere you go, it definitely will have that. Some of the restaurants that have tried to like sort of get back to like the roots of Mexican cuisine, they definitely don't have it. So for example, if you're familiar with he's one of the top chefs in the world, and his co-chef, which I think she might have actually just left the restaurant with him, but she was one of the top female chefs in the world, like in 2019, I think, and she's awesome, which is Enrique Olvera. And I've gone to three of his restaurants, one in Mexico City, and two here in New York, and they definitely don't add tomato into their guacamole. They add a lot of herbs, but definitely no tomato. Let me see. Oh, Saccharin Raid! Thank you. Oh, Saccharin, thank you for the 400. You don't have to do that. Thank you so much. And thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. Aww. Does avocado taste like a green tomato? No, definitely not. Avocado is very creamy, and I would say it's also, it sort of has some hints of sweetness. Now I want to describe it to you. It has a very earthy flavor, but definitely like sweetness. And it's pretty mild all on its own. I mean, it's considered a fruit, to be honest. Right? It's considered to be a fruit. There's this chunk that's kind of hard here. Just realized it. Yeah, but definitely not like a green tomato. How is your day going today, Saccharin? Okay, yeah, this part was really hard. Sometimes you get like those fibers that just, I don't know, grow differently. Yeah, it's very fibrous. So I'm gonna remove this from here. Let me throw it out, guys. The rest of the avocado was beautiful. Good so far, thank you for asking. I'm glad that it's going well. If you just joined me, by the way, I'm making some tacos. Plant-based tacos with Japanese sweet potato, corn. And in this moment, I'm making some guacamole. And we were just talking about traditional guacamole, but I am going to be adding onion and tomato. Obviously, my daughter is going to be eating this, so I am not going to be adding any spiciness to my guacamole, but this is a great place to add some spiciness to the dish that I'm making today. I would recommend a serrano pepper, a jalapeno if you don't like spicy, and if you're feeling really adventurous, an habanero. But that's gonna bring it to a whole other level. Ooh, tacos, guacamole. Oh yeah, guacamole. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Sakharin, where you live, but it's like an avocado. It's usually, so this is the avocado that I just smashed up, and I really gotta fix the settings on this camera because it looks really brownish, but look how bright it is. This is what it really looks like. Yeah, so it's avocado, onion, tomato. I think I'm adding that much. Avocado, onion, tomato, cilantro, lime juice, and salt. And I was telling everyone that the traditional one doesn't usually have tomato, but I'm adding it. Because I want a little bit more nutrients, and like I want it to be a little chunky on my tacos. The sweet potatoes can be very soft, so I want to add a little bit more of like a texture to it, if that makes sense. And these are heirloom tomatoes. That's what they look like that. They're delicious. So just doing a rough chop here. And I think that should be good enough. This tomato is really big. And if you've never had this tomato that's a little bit on the more brownish, greenish, reddish side, it actually tastes sweeter, I would say. Let me taste it. It's like, it's brighter, a little bit on the sweeter side, more so than like a regular grocery store tomato. It's not as acidic. Like I feel like sometimes a tomato at the grocery store, like you'll bite into it and the acidity hits you. This one, the sweetness hits you first. And then you can taste the acidity in it. Sakharin says, yeah, we have guacamole here, but not too many places have it. I'm unhealthy because you don't like tomatoes. Oh, I mean, that doesn't make you unhealthy. I know a lot of people that don't like tomatoes. Are you one of those people that likes tomatoes or doesn't like tomatoes, but you'll eat tomato sauce? Yeah? Imagine, Sakharin. Yes. Okay, so Panda said that Sakharin should do a mukbang Mexican food. Yes, you should. Because I would also be really interested to know, Sakharin, like what kind of Mexican food you have on your side of the world. It's always really interesting to me, like the sort of Mexican dishes that get featured in places that don't have like a huge Mexican population. I would love, love, love to see that. Andres says, live stream. Great to see you, Adriana. Hi, Andres, on YouTube. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I've been coming on here every Tuesday, basically, for like a month now. And I stream something. I'm also live streaming on YouNow. So if you hear me talking to people that you don't see on the chat, that's what that is. But I'm making some tacos de camote, or Japanese sweet potato tacos with corn. So here I have everything. I'm gonna get my lime. For some reason I didn't get the lime. Sakharin said I can accept tomato sauce, but not a big fan. Interesting. That's a good suggestion. I'll try to check it out. If there's one near me, you totally should. I would love to. And then we can like talk about food. Where did I leave my lime? Oh yeah, my limes are over here. I'm gonna check really quick on the sweet potato filling. Just a quick second, I'll be right back. I just tried one of those sweet potatoes. They're still a little bit hard, so I'm gonna let them keep cooking. But you can really taste the brightness of that smoked paprika. It was really, really delicious. Okay. All right, so usually before I squeeze my limes, I like to press them a little bit. I do think it actually helps to loosen up some of the juice. We're not really in lime season at the moment, so some are good, some are not, you know. These are organic. So especially when they're not in season and they're organic, like sometimes you might not get a very good one, you know, because probably not much was used to grow them. Okay, so Ben, this is reminding me, if you're still here, Ben, of the video you sent me yesterday where she says most of guacamole recipes will tell you to add like half of a lime. The woman in the video, it was a really funny video, guys. She was like just being hilarious and making a guacamole, but she said I will add 125 limes. I feel like I can relate to her because yeah, you probably don't need much more than half of a lime, but I'm adding an entire lime and it was a little large. I love lime on my guacamole. Ben said, yeah, hello. Oh, Andres, is this you from YouTube? What are the ingredients so far? I have some onions, greenish tomatoes, and avocado. Yeah, so it's avocado, onion, tomato, and I am going to be adding, I just added the lime juice. I'm going to be adding the sea salt and some cilantro as well. Oh, you guys are so nice to him. I love how kind. This is one of the reasons why I do love coming on YouNow. Like honestly, everyone is always so nice on here. By the way, this is the salt that I'm adding. I was calling it Celtic salt forever until one of you guys, one of my viewers on YouTube told me it's Celtic salt. So there you go, Celtic salt. I do think it has a great flavor, by the way. Ooh, my camera doesn't want to focus. There we go. All right, let me mix this up. And I have to go get the cilantro. Oh, thank you for the avocado, Panda. You guys know me, you know I love my little stickers. Okay, here's my cilantro. And this cilantro, they often call it cilantro macho. I don't really know what they call it in English because I usually just see it and they have it labeled as both, but it's the one that's sort of like, it actually has the little flowers. I don't know if I can see it on here. Oh, thank you for the 50, Ben. You're too kind. Thank you. Yeah, you guys also call it coriander in some other parts of the world, but this one, if you ever see it at the grocery store, it looks a little bit different. Like, it has some flowers still. In Mexico, like, we just call it cilantro macho, but it really has a better flavor. So, Panda, you're saying it's coriander. Do you, like, where you live, do they often call it cilantro and then this one coriander? Is that what you're saying? Those stickers add up to diamonds. You're right, Lefty, they do. I just enjoy them. They make me happy when I see them. Not because of the diamonds, but because they're so, like, adorable. But you are right. I do appreciate them for that. You think so, says Panda. Okay. I like to add a lot of cilantro. And again, my camera makes this look so dead. I gotta figure out why. But it's so bright. It really is. Okay. I like to add a good amount. And I'm not going to remove the stems from it. As long as there's not any like hard pieces, which I could tell that there wasn't, I like to add it all in. All right. That's pretty good, I think. I don't like to, the thing with cilantro is that you don't want to like chop it. You don't really want to like chop it too much because you'll start getting a very like greenish sort of grassy taste. That's the best way that I can describe it. So I try to not over chop it. You definitely don't want to like smash it. It is something that you add at the end. And I could have made this in a molcajete, but really you don't need one. So you can make this in any bowl. And again, it's looking so dark. I'm sorry, but here it is. Here's the brightness of it. Okay, cool. So at this point, I'm gonna go check. I'm gonna bring you guys over and check on the filling with the Japanese sweet potatoes. Let me also clean up a little bit. And while we finish the filling, so our guacamole is ready. Like I said, this would be the point where you would chop up, like really, really, really tiny, chop up some chili of your choice, whatever that would be for you. My daughter's eating this tonight too, so I'm not adding any of it. She can't take that much spice, so I'm not going to do it. Ben said basically cilantro is the leaf part of the plant and coriander is the seeds. Yeah, I have heard that too, but you'd be surprised. Like I often do see people call it coriander, and even in like the culinary world, like I think it sort of depends the part of the world where you live. Like I've heard both names, but I think you are technically correct, Ben. I really, really do. Yeah, but I don't know the two different varieties. You mean it's the same plant? It is, yeah. But I do think that the name coriander is more for the seeds. Okay, so I'm gonna take you guys to the stove really quick so you can see what's going on over there. Too much details, Ben. Ben likes to be correct, right? So here is the filling. I'm gonna move it around. I've been cooking it on low. If you just joined me, I was saying because the Japanese sweet potatoes have high content of sugar, so they will burn very easily. I just want them to cook and to sort of get like delicious with all of the spices that I added and with the corn and onion. I'm probably gonna turn the heat up just a tad bit. It is probably a little too low. So I'm gonna turn it up just a little bit. I'm actually gonna taste one of the potatoes. Okay, they're getting really soft. I think it needs a little bit of salt. So let me get my salt. I think that's it. Now I gotta stir it because it all dropped in one area. So let's do that. Okay, beautiful. I am actually going to move this. I'm going to bring you guys back over here. I'm going to be moving that pan. I'm going to move it onto the other side so that I can actually get my comal up so I can make some fresh tortillas. And I'm just going to make like 2 or 3. I've made tortillas in the past on another stream here. If you want to know more about how I make my tortillas, you could also check out my video on YouTube. I have a whole video on that. I'm using fresh masa, which I love, and I'm very lucky that my store supplies it. But if not, masa harina, which is the floured, ground up flour for tortillas, like you can use that as well. Dry it up and then just add water. My video tells you how to do all of that. But let me go ahead and move this over. I need to grab something so that I don't burn myself. And I'll show you guys my comal. This is probably not the thickest one. Be really careful, guys. So I'm gonna leave it here and turn the heat to like medium low. Here is my comal. That's where I'm gonna be making the tortillas in. And I'm going to turn that to a medium, so that way it starts getting warm. Let me also show you, don't hate Panda. I'm all for the details, Ben. I'm like one of those people, I'm like, ooh, I want to learn about that, and then I'll like get distracted and go on like a research mode. So thank you for providing us with those details. I appreciate them. Okay, so I already had, I'm going to switch cameras and bring this here. Here is my masa. I had already pre-measured it, and I also used my stand mixer just on the paddle to actually mix it up. It is fresh masa, but when you buy it, it can sort of start getting like a little bit dry on the sides because it is in the fridge. So I just mix it around a little bit for like 2-3 minutes just to really incorporate the moisture into every single little bit of it. So it's ready. I'm going to grab my tortilla press or máquina de tortillas and start pressing these. I'm just gonna make like 2 or 3. There it is. And you could just grab, I would say usually like a golf size ball works really well. I like mine to all look the same size, so I am going to use a scale. I pretty much do that every time I make tortillas. So let me, you can see my scale right here. There we go. I just put a little, this is what I use for my coffee. If you join me on Thursdays, I usually come and make coffee on here too. But let me bring my camera. Actually, I'm gonna leave that camera there for when I make the tortillas. That way it'll be like ready to go. Okay. So, for my perfect size tortilla, so in Mexico, most tacos are pretty small, like they tend to be like this. That's why people really like 10 tacos, because technically it's like, you know, a quarter of like a really big one in most other places. But my perfect size ends up being 30 grams. Okay, 30.2, I'm okay with that. I'll take it. So 30 grams, and then you basically just, you do want to make it a round ball. So this is what makes a difference between your tortillas sort of like cracking on the side, and also it can affect whether your tortillas puff. So do try to get it to be nice and round first, and then you put it on your press. My press is really old, guys, and it's like a cheap press. There's nothing special to it, but it works well. I honestly probably paid like $10 for it at a local bodega here in New York like 10 years ago. Honestly, it's so old. But like, look at that, it's beautiful. On here you can see it's really thin, so this machine works. And then I'm gonna switch cameras over to the stove, and I will make like 2 or 3. There we go. I will also say you can make, let me switch over to the counter. You can make these with flour tortillas, obviously corn, and I'm sure some of you will have a debate on this, but corn, if it's non-GMO, which I know this corn is, it's actually like a company that really cares about the corn that they use for their masa. Especially if it's non-GMO, this corn, because it has been nixtamalized, meaning that it's easier for you to digest, it actually is healthier than a flour tortilla. But I would say if like all you have from the grocery store are like the tortillas that have 40 ingredients in them, which I'll never understand why tortillas have to have like 40 ingredients in them. But if that's all you have, I guess it doesn't really matter. But if you can make fresh tortillas, I would say corn ones are definitely the healthier option to go for. What do you guys like? Do you guys prefer flour tortillas or corn tortillas for your tacos? I would love to know. I know it's like such a personal preference, like especially if you're from northern Mexico, like more than likely you'll probably prefer flour. So let me flip this one. That one curled a little bit, so I'm just gonna be using that. And you can sort of start to tell when you should flip the tortilla because you start getting these tiny little bubbles. So that one was like pretty much ready to go. Look at that. And then the puff is not necessary, but I love it when they puff. Let me flip this one now. Let me stir my filling around. I'm going to taste one more potato just to be safe. The tortilla is done. Oh yeah, okay, that salt I added at the end was perfect. But you can see these little like bubbles forming. It's exactly what we want to see. And you just basically press it a little bit and they start puffing. But I will tell you, it does take practice with getting that beautiful puff. Like, I definitely was not making those little puffs like when I first started making tortillas, you know? Andres, is that a non-stick pan? Also, are the ingredients for the masa only corn and water? Great question. Yes, the comal is non-stick, and it's actually you're gonna laugh. It's actually a crepe pan. If you've been on my other streams, I've told you this before, but yeah, it's a crepe pan, meaning that it's originally sold to make crepes. But I found it, and it's such a good size because I can make like 4 or 5 tortillas at a time. And because it is non-stick, I don't have to put anything on my comal. So if you've ever seen like pictures of women or men making tortillas in Mexico in those clay comals, like you usually see that they're sort of white, and you're like, why are they white? And that's because they're using cal, which is like limestone powder. I think that's what it translates to. And you have to add that on there, otherwise they do stick. And so this one is probably one of the only things I use that's non-stick in my home. That and like a tiny little pan that I sometimes use for eggs. But it works really, really well. And it's not scratched or anything, so I think I'm good for like another couple months before I probably should throw it out. Well, hi, Steven. Thank you for becoming a fan. I'm over here making tortillas. Ben says, I've always been told the corn is healthier. It is, right? I would say the only time that I would disagree with that is like the super Americanized like tortillas that have like so many additives. Like I cannot understand where there has to be all these like chemicals in it. And I know they'll tell you it's for preservatives, but like I'm pretty sure you don't need that many. Tortillas preserve okay on their own. Andres, and the ingredients for the corn masa, yes, it's basically just the what is it called in English? I'll have to get the package in a second. But yes, it's just been nixtamalized, and it's the corn, the water, and the ingredient they add for nixtamalization, which I know it in Spanish is called cal. I think it is limestone powder. That's what it's always been used. And that helps to break down the kernels of the corn for digestion. And it's the traditional way of making it. And like I said, this company specifically does only non-GMO. So it's really, really cool. Let me see some of your other comments. These fans will tell me and others that you can fan me. Thank you very much. Oh, Havana. Okay. I will do that at the end. I'm like cooking and I'm not in the main computer that has to stream. So I will do so. Lefty, why'd you say no? But that's a good suggestion, man. The best way to get a fan is to stream. That's true. And then that way other people that like want to watch your streams will do so. And if they like them, they'll fan you. They're coming out beautifully. Thank you. The 30-gram secret is also very interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's sort of my preference, but like, look, they end up all looking the same. And for tacos, I do think it's the right size. They're a little bit bigger than, I would say, like Mexican street tacos. Mexican street tacos are probably like a third less than this. And then they'll like double up on the tortilla. But I think 30 grams is just perfect for me. And I'm actually gonna turn off the filling over here. So if you just joined me, these are sweet potatoes, corn, onion, and some spices with olive oil. So I'm turning it off. It smells delicious. And here's the last tortilla I'm gonna make on the camera. Let me actually move some stuff away. Lefty said he's a spammer. Oh, really? Should I be worried? You guys teach me so much about you now. I feel like I don't know it. I don't know everything, guys. I'm still pretty new here. All right. Let me clean up. Let me remove this tortilla. I'm gonna turn off my comal for now. I'll bring some of these tortillas over here so you can see it. There we go. Just gonna clean up a little bit before I put a taco together. And as I was saying, like the filling, that's just kind of like the basic one. If you do have zucchini, you can add that. If you have any other type of like root vegetable that you want to try, you're more than welcome to. And beans, like black beans, go so well with it. You would add them if they're all like boiled, and then you just like throw them in there to get all of the flavors together and cook even more with the sweet potato and the corn. So, so delicious. Let me see. Okay. Let me bring this camera over. Let me check if I missed anything on this end. I think we're gonna be ready to go for me to show you a taco. Ooh, Marina says she likes flour tortillas for tacos. I mean, I like them too. I actually streamed some, I was making some healthy flour tortillas here the other day. Mike says, looks delicious, thank you. And Sergeant Pepper. I like that little face. Thank you. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna leave those comments there. I'm gonna put a tortilla together. So here we go. And yes, this would taste really good with a flour tortilla, but whatever. If you have fresh corn tortillas, I think the flavor of the tortilla with the filling and the guacamole, like, it just really adds different layers of flavor. I do think that something so starchy like the sweet potato can sort of get lost with the starchiness in the flour tortilla. But I don't know, maybe you make delicious flour tortillas and I'll still add it. But I highly recommend corn. If not, obviously whatever your heart desires. No one's gonna judge you for it. Okay, I'm gonna bring some of this filling. I'll be right back. I'm gonna put it right on the tortilla. So here is the filling. And again, sweet potato, corn, onion, the spices. And the spices was just cumin, oregano, black pepper, salt, and I do think the star of the spices would be the smoked paprika for the smokiness. One more time. Hi, Olivia. I've missed you on my streams. Thank you for inviting your fans, by the way. I'm almost at the end, but here we go. So here is the guacamole. Here's a little close-up. I feel tempted to add like some cilantro on the top, just because it's beautiful. And when can you not eat more cilantro? Okay, here's a little close-up. I will have to fix the colors on here because look at that. It looks a little dull, but on this camera it looks really bright. All right. I'm gonna taste it like this. I also have a little bit of an habanero salsa that I made, I think it was like a week and a half ago. And it's really, really spicy, so I tend not to use too much. I'm gonna try it with both, but I'm first gonna take a bite with just what's here. So let's try it out. Hi, Margarita. You almost missed me. You had a doctor appointment. Oh, well, thank you for joining me. I'm at the end. I'll tell you a little bit more about my dish in a second, but I hope everything's okay at the doctor's. Christina said, yummy. She's going to try to make this. I hope you do. If you have questions, let me know. Okay, so here we go. Let's try this. Very nice. Bad Biscuit said, I miss watching your streams. I missed you being on here, so I'm glad that you're here. Ben said, oh, sorry, not Ben. Andres said, I bet this is Versina with flavors. Let's try it out and I'll tell you all about it. There's a lot of dimension in this taco. Like, there's different layers of flavor. Because the guacamole is on the top, you end up getting like the avocado, the acidity of the lime juice in there, and the freshness of the onion and the tomato on there. But then as you like keep chewing, you get the filling of the Japanese sweet potato and the corn. The corn, like I told you guys in the beginning, it was trying to dry up in my fridge, so it actually worked in my favor because it kind of created a more, it's not hard, it's not crunchy, but it's sort of like roasted really well. And so you actually get a little bit of that consistency on the bottom, and then you taste like the tortilla, and it all just like kind of comes together really, really well. I do think that because the sweet potato is so sweet, the guacamole is like a must on this taco, just because you do need that acidity and the creaminess of it. Like, you can beat guacamole. So I'm gonna add a little bit. Let me move this away. This is a little bit of my salsa. I'm almost done with this habanero salsa. It's really thick, but I'm not gonna add too much because it's spicy, very spicy. So let's try it out. Bad Biscuits. Thank you. Thank you for the emojis. All right. Let's try to taste this. Hopefully it's not too spicy. Mm-hmm. The habanero, whew, I gave it heat for sure. I would say I've had this taco with my red salsa, with my green salsa, with obviously different kinds of chilies, like dry chilies versus the fresh green chilies. But this habanero, it just does something else to it. Thank you for the 50. And oh, and thank you for the little fire. Yeah, it was fire. Not only does it look like fire, but it is. There's something so special about habaneros, which I can't describe. Like, if you can take the heat of an habanero, I highly, highly recommend it on this dish. A way to sort of get the flavor of habanero, and I'm dropping everything on my plate. A way to get the flavor of the habanero without a lot of the heat is you try to remove as much as possible of the veins. Make sure you use gloves because your hands will be on fire for days if you don't. Definitely don't do it with just bare hands. But if you try to remove a lot of the veins, it can really help. You could even just like cut out around the part of the veins and just throw in the chilies. These habaneros were actually boiled. So I do think it sort of reduces a little bit of the heat. Not too much. But you can totally diminish some of the heat and still get like the, I don't know, there's something so fresh and sweet about an habanero. Highly recommend it, especially with this dish. I do think it's my favorite chili officially now with this taco. And I eat messy tacos. I bit over here and I'm gonna bite on this side because everything's like falling on that side. So good. Thank you for stopping by, Olivia. Really, really good taco. Could you just like make the filling and eat it like that? Absolutely. Like, I think you could, but I would say add something a little bit acidic, whether that's a green salsa or a little bit of lime juice, something that like balances out the sweetness of it. Because the corn and the sweet potato are already pretty much on the sweeter side. I'm gonna finish this taco, and I think I'm at the end of the stream, guys. I think I need another napkin. Here it is. Let me throw this out. Just one last time, if you're interested in this recipe. Oh, thank you, Ben, for the 50. I appreciate it. It was Japanese sweet potato, corn, onion, the spices, which was smoked paprika, ground cumin, oregano, black pepper, salt, with the olive oil, and then a guacamole. However you love your guacamole, but I do think definitely add enough acidity, enough lime juice. So good. Oh, Andrea said that was an awesome stream. You learned so many new tips. Thank you. I'm glad that you do. It's part of the reason why I love making these streams. You know, it's let me make another taco. I get to just like come and talk with you guys, and I don't know, like talk more about, obviously on my recipes on YouTube, I focus a lot on like traditional recipes, but this is obviously one that's really traditional, but it's something that like I actually eat at home all the time. You know? The corn is very interesting. This is from my local farmer's market, and again, I don't know the variety of it, but when I cooked it down, because it was a little bit drier, it sort of tastes like esquites. So good. But thank you so much for joining me today, whether that was on YouTube or on YouNow. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to stop by. My streams tend to be really long. I actually kept it under 2 hours today, which is good. This was one of like the easier sort of recipes that you can come and put together. I hope you learned something. If you ever are in an area where you see tacos de guisado, like I was talking about earlier, like go check them out. It's one of the easiest ways to learn more about like what people in Mexico eat at home, which is like those one pot dishes. And this is like one of those. Like I definitely grew up eating Kamote. Yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and I will be back. I am going to try to stream this Thursday. I'm thinking I may actually do evening. I think most people are working. I've been doing the mornings to show you guys a little bit. Oh, thank you for all the 10s. I've been streaming in the mornings to show you like the types of coffee drinks that I like to make. Oh, the little rainbow. I forgot the word for a second. Yeah, I've been streaming in the mornings, but I think almost everyone is at work. So I think I will try to be back on Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to do my absolute best. I have a dessert that I want to make, so I think I may actually be doing something sweeter. It's not going to be anything Mexican, but still vegan and as healthy as I can make it. So I think I will be back this Thursday at 4 p.m. If not, definitely every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, you will find me on here, and I appreciate you guys so much. Hope you have a good rest of your evening or night. Panda, I hope you went to bed. You probably fell asleep on my stream, but I hope you guys, enjoyed the rest of your evening. Thank you, Andres. Thank you. And I will see everyone very soon. The sleep zone. Yeah, I think Panda's doing his sleep zone now, no? Bye, Ben. Thank you for sticking around for the whole stream. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And all the likes and everything, guys.